Now, I've got a drawing here. I got a little sketch. And on the sketch, I'm basically sketching out this cross shape. And there's a box floating in each corner. And, if I asked you to use the grid and the snap mode tool, I'm sure you'd be able to draw this accurately. Right? It's got 9.5 inches wide. It's 5.5 inches tall. Each of the vertical parts here are 1.5 inches with a 1/2 inch gap. 3 inches wide, 3 inches wide, 2.5 wide in the middle. So you could probably take my sketch here and you could go to town. You could hop over on AutoCAD and you could probably go in and set up your snap and grid settings to something that is reasonable for this kind of drawing. We might want to leave the grid and the snap at 1/2 inch because it looks like the smallest measurement on this drawing is 1/2 inch. We turn off adaptive grid, make a dark line every 4 lines, and then you know what? You'd be good to go. Now there are a lot of people that draw in AutoCAD using grid and snap. They are people that don't have a lot of experience using the program. But, it is accurate. So I can go 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, and then 1.5 inches tall means 1.5 boxes tall, right? And I can draw my first box here. And then start the command for line. And I'm making my next lines. Go back to line and go up. See, I can use the grid and the snap to produce lines that start and stop exactly where I want them to. So grid and snap are not totally useless, but using them to do all your work, well, it would kind of drive you nuts eventually. Be honest with you. Right now I have to count all these little boxes as I'm drawing to make sure things are the right size, and that's just kind of a drag. I don't want to spend my day squinting at the screen trying to get things the correct size, counting little squares. Eventually going to go blind from doing that. So it's possible to draw like this, and some people do. But again, they are not people that have a lot of proficiency with CAD. It's a slow way to draw, even though it's a precise way. At Cal State Bakersfield, one of the departments there uses AutoCAD as the theater department. And they actually draw their theater set for tech theater class using AutoCAD, and they draw just like this. Their grid is set up for the stage. The whole stage is probably 25, 30 feet wide. And they make their grid 1 foot squares. And they just draw simple little shapes. And they know that each square is a foot. And it helps them to make a simple drawing. But you know what? You could learn how to do that in 5 minutes on YouTube. So this is not what we're going for. We're trying to learn how to use this program with some proficiency. So I use grid and snap just now to create my drawing, and it looks just like my sketch that I was trying to make. And I mean, for our first class or two, that's fine. I open up another drawing here that your instructor might want to give you. It's the same thing. It's using grid and snap to create lines that are equally spaced, or to create patterns, diagonals, right? The starburst pattern here with these squares inside of it. You could use the snap tool to do all that stuff. Right, one line after the other. Go around, and then even the squares that fall inside there, inside that X, of course, are easy to draw and of course precise. And that's really what we want, right? We want precision in addition to everything else we're going for here. So snap and grid work together well. Snap and grid, though, to be honest, they're kind of like training wheels. And training wheels are fine when you're 4 or 5. They help you get going, and they bring you to the point where you can go on to bigger and better things. If you're 25 years old and you're driving down the bike path on your bicycle and you're still using training wheels, though, there is a problem, right? So while I appreciate that Snap and Grid are very attractive, and I use Snap and Grid when I teach young people about AutoCAD, if I want them to come into the lab for an hour and have them draw something, Snap and Grid is a great little tool to work with. If you did a creative drawing in your class last week, maybe you even used the Snap and Grid to tighten it up and make it look pretty, right? But this is not where we're going to stay for the rest of the class. We have to progress on. So what we're going to talk about are coordinates.